morning. Having a quick morning garden chat while I pot up some peppermint Swiss chard and some micro tomatoes to have inside, and thought, why not chat while I'm doing it? So I'm going to be potting up from these 6-cell air pruning trays, only because, they don't need to be potted up yet. They're not very big. But there's, if you can see, 3 in this one, 3 in that one, and I want to carefully separate them and not throw any away. So in doing that, I might as well just pot them up. I'm going to be putting them into 2.5-inch pots, which I probably need to get some more of. They're over there. And I'm going to be using Fox Farms Bush Doctor Coco Loco. This is what I'm currently using and evaluating with seed starting, my house plants, potting things up. I'm not using this to fill raised beds. For that, I'll typically go with something less expensive because I know I'll be amending that with homemade compost. So I'll do something less expensive like Daddy Pete's peat-free potting mix or Beyond Peat, which I get at Walmart. But for really important stuff like seed starting and my house plants, I'm wanting to make sure I use something that's really good. And I'm evaluating this. There is one product from Organic Mechanics that's peat-free that I want to try, but I haven't had the opportunity to yet. I purchased this with my own money. This was not gifted to me. The issues I'm finding so far with the Coco Loco are a lot of fungus gnats, like a lot. I guess that's from the coconut coir. I'm controlling them just fine using my DIY fungus gnat traps, which are just yellow paper. I use some of that Tanglefoot tree stuff and in a popsicle stick, and it's being controlled. So that's like not a super big issue. The other issue that I was a little surprised about is that I've been finding small pebbles and rocks in the bag, usually at least 4 or 5, which was kind of surprising. Let me open up the bag, pour some into the children's sled, saucer sled that I use when I'm potting up things. If you have a question, feel free to drop it in the question box. You can ask me anything. It doesn't have to be about potting up. We're just having a morning, not coffee chat, because I've already had 2 cups. So I'm currently drinking lemon juice, apple cider vinegar, and hot water. I'm trying to be healthy. Okay. Thank you, Between the Valleys. I do try to be real. A lot of times to my detriment, probably. All right. Pour some of this. Okay. And then, just for good measure, because even though the Coco Loco has fertilizer in it, probably really good fertilizer because it's derived from worm castings, oyster shells, dolomite lime, bat guano, and I think one other thing. So that's probably really good. I do still choose to err on the safe side, and I amend it with a little bit of the insect frass that I sell. Before I add some insect frass, I'm just going to check for any really large pieces. Just throw those out in the driveway. Ranger's out here with me. It's raining, so we're in the garage, and he's wondering what the heck I'm doing throwing all this stuff out in front of him. Sorry, buddy. Coco Loco is pretty good about not having a lot of large pieces of stuff in it. When I say it's got stuff in it, it's got stuff in it that's like this size. It's really not bad. I think, so I've got this bag yesterday. I'm trying to remember what I paid for it. I paid more for the green sand I was using last night in the soil blocks. I think the bag was around $23. Whereas a bag of Beyond Peat at Walmart is usually $8.50. But I do think the Beyond Peat is an inferior product to the Coco Loco. But I have used the Beyond Peat to help top up raised beds, and everything has done really well in those beds. All right, I'm not seeing any more large pieces. I also haven't found, this is a new bag, I haven't found any rocks in this bag. All right. So insect frass, if you don't know, is insect poop. This is specifically black soldier fly poop, frass, and it's from an insect farm in Louisiana named Fluker Farms. They sell insects as reptile feed. So when people own reptiles like those are bearded dragons and things, they purchase insects, crickets, larvae to feed these reptiles. And the waste product, the poop, while they're being bred on the farm, needs a place to go instead of the landfill. It's a great plant food. I'm not going to call it a fertilizer. It actually isn't even a plant food in the sense that it's feeding the microbes in the soil, which are then in turn being consumed by protozoa and nematodes. And then the waste from those protozoa and nematodes that they excrete is what the plant is using. That's probably too much information this early in the morning. One other thing that it does contain is it contains a substance called chitin, which is found in the exoskeletons of the insects. When they shed those exoskeletons, they get mixed in with the frass, the poop, and the chitin can elicit a defensive response in the plant because the plant thinks there are insects there in the soil, and it starts building up its natural defenses so that it can help ward off those insects. I think that's pretty cool. I may need a moderator soon. I may need a moderator soon. If anyone is on here and we know each other via Instagram, will you let me know? And if you're willing to be a moderator. So far I'm not seeing any awful comments, but I can see that a ton of people are joining all at once with Instagram handles I don't recognize. I don't know if there's a name for this, but I call it troll bombing. Like, I don't even know how these people are finding my live, because I doubt that they are followers. I doubt that, they're not garden accounts. And, they're sending lots of requests to be in the video. This keeps happening to me. So yeah, someone, let me know if you're willing to be a moderator. And if you see inappropriate comments, like commenting on my appearance or wanting to marry me or things like that, you can just kick that person out of the live. It's actually fun. I've been a moderator before, and it is quite the sense of power. Yep. The requests for them to join the video are coming in. I can kick them out. Should we let someone join? Let's do it. Hello?
Hello, how are you?
Hello? Hooray! do that for a long time. Just get some waving and some thumbs up. I mean, hey, I'll take it. Whatever. Oh my God. Now they're like, oh, so many requests are pouring in. All right, I'm just gonna ignore it and pot up some of these baby Swiss chard. The reason, I guess I should have said this a long time ago, the reason I am starting Swiss chard in the dead of January is because all the Swiss chard that I started in August that I had in the garden that normally in my zone 7B in Charlotte, North Carolina will live all year, never die. It got killed by that winter storm Elliott when we had 4 days in a row of a high, like 7-degree temperatures. Not high of 7 degree, low of 7 degree, but it was enough to basically demolish everything in my garden. I was looking at pictures last night of like exactly a year ago today with what my winter garden looked like, and I almost started crying. There was Japanese giant red mustard, and there was Swiss chard, and there was cabbage, and there was lettuce, and there was so many pansies, and it was snapdragons, and it was a lot of green, and it was gorgeous. And then I looked at my garden. I just went out there in the rain, and it's all brown. It's really depressing. Yes, okay, so Maple Grace, the onions, they looked rough. They had a lot of white on them. I trimmed them up. The onions look okay. The garlic, of course, is fine. The leeks, they were pretty young. They look sort of okay. But almost everything was just super toast. I tried growing something new this year called Mibuna mustard. I think the seeds are from M.I. Gardner. And I harvested some before that for that killing storm and tasted it and really loved it. So I just started some more of those seeds last night. I've started more kale, Japanese giant red mustard, red Russian kale, feathered frills kale, dazzling blue kale, Swiss chard, Mibuna mustard, Japanese giant red mustard, and celery. Celery was doing really well. It all got killed. I mean, it looks like it's coming back, but I decided to start more. All right, I've added water to my potting mix. And now I'm just gonna take my little 2.5-inch pots and I'm gonna fill them up. I'm gonna get the soil to settle. The Ranger, come here, baby, come here. Come here. Lay by mama. Lay by mom. Lay down. Come on, lay down. Ranger, lay down. Can you lay down? Lay down. I don't know what I was talking about. All right, let's pop out this trio of seedlings. I'm just gonna, there's one, there's another. Don't eat it. Don't eat it. All right, so now I got 3 little babies. I'm just gonna use a popsicle stick, make a little hole. Here we go. So that's what's on tap for this morning. I am gonna do some more soil blocks and start more seeds. You wanna lay by me? Inside today. Because even if these fall winter gardening plants don't have time to come to maturity before I'm ripping everything out for spring, I don't care. I just need something growing and going in the garden. And if I lose it all again to another freeze, that's okay too. Seeds are relatively inexpensive. Becky, I'm in zone 6A and trying to restrain myself to not start things too early this year. Okay, yeah, no, I'm definitely not starting anything warm weather loving early this year because I too dream too big. Everything grows out of the space and it becomes such a dance of taking things outside during the day and bringing them in at night. So I won't be starting my tomatoes until end of February. I won't be starting peppers until late January. My 12-week mark, I think, is like January 21st, which I could start peppers then, but I probably won't. I'll probably wait till the 10-week mark. But yeah, I'm not going to start anything that's warm weather loving early. But Swiss chard should be just fine in our normal winter temperatures. I also wanted to talk a little bit about what's happening with the Frass partnership. I partnered with a company to market and sell the insect Frass plant food. And that company handled all of the back end logistics. They handled getting the Frass from Fluker Farms, ordering bags with my logo on it, packaging the Frass in the bags, taking the orders, taking payment for the orders, packaging the orders, shipping the orders, providing the customer service. And then we were splitting the profits 50-50. And my job was to allow them to put my name on the bag and then to talk about it and market it. I, of course, said in the beginning that I needed to test it first. And I did. I took 2.5 months over the summer when it would have been a good time to be selling it to test it first. And it did amazing. I tested it on eucalyptus, milkweed, zinnias, and one other thing that I can't remember. And I think I have it in a story highlight with pictures of the differences. So once I decided I liked it and I felt good about it, then I said yes. And of course, by the time the bags were ordered, it was the fall and people were shutting down gardens for the winter. But now we're coming up upon seed starting. And this is a great time to be adding it to whatever you use, depending on what kind of fertilizer is included in that seed starting mix, if any. It's a great time to be making it. I add it to a jug of water, I shake it up, and I use it instead of fish emulsion to fertilize seedlings because there is basically no smell to the Frass, whereas the fish emulsion smells, like rotting dead fish. It's really bad. So right now is when, I feel like the market is going to pick up for it. And then the company lets me know that they're moving away from providing all that type of back-end logistics and order fulfillment. They are so kind. They've been amazing to work with. They are offering for me to take over the operations, for them to transfer it to me. And so I really want to do it. I've been talking with my husband about it, about what it would look like, if I could realistically take orders and mail out orders. And I really want to do it. And I think I might just dive head in and learn as I go. I feel like that's how we do a lot of things in the garden. I think I just heard thunder. And so I'm going to apply that to this endeavor as well. The worst case scenario is I'll be out just to get it started doing it myself. I'll probably be out, have to lay out at least $500. Yeah, we'll see. Thank you, Garden to Eat. I think I can do it too. I mean, and what's the worst that will happen? I'll be out $500, but 2.5, 3 months worth of Instagram Reels bonuses will cover that. So I'll just have to put out some good Reels content for 2.5, 3 months. Oh, you guys, thank you guys for being so supportive. And if anyone's on here that has actually purchased, where'd it go? Has actually purchased any of the Frass, I really appreciate you, because I don't think a lot of people know about insect Frass. I think it's like this unsung hero in the garden world. And I know a couple other companies sell it. It's not new, but it's not something that's regularly talked about. So if you took a chance on it based on my recommendation, that means a lot that you trust me to do that. And so thank you. All right, I need to get more potting again. Does anyone have any questions about growing like winter gardens in zone 7B? Or I just planted one of my amaryllis out in the yard yesterday. I think a lot of people have their holiday amaryllises starting to peter out. Maybe you don't know what to do with it. Ask me any questions you have about anything. About, what else could you ask me? What I'm most excited growing next year, what my favorite tomato is, anything about the compost. And if you drop your question in the question bubble, so at the bottom of your screen, you should be able to, if you don't see a text bubble with a question mark in it, you should be able to expand your options of what you see along the bottom, and then you should see that. And then if you put your question in that when anyone's doing a live, it shows them on the screen and it stays there, a red notification, so that they know they have a question. And then it really helps get your questions answered or your comments seen. All right, I'm separating more. It's okay. The husband's home. One of the garage doors is opening. Yeah. So I'm separating 3 more peppermint chard seedlings. I'm popping them in the 2.5-inch pot that's filled with not dry coconut coir and insect frass. You can go see him. You want to go see him? Okay. My other dog inside knows he's home and she's going crazy. And I lost my Velcro dog. The other day I planted out in the garden wasabi radishes. Has anyone ever grown a wasabi radish before? I have not. Because the back of the seed packet said it is cold hardy. So I planted some wasabi radishes that I started indoors with soil blocks. And they did really great. And I planted them out yesterday, so fingers crossed they don't die in another cold snap. Thank you for the badge, Grace Walk Farm. That was really nice of you. I also planted out calendula. So for me, in Zone 7B, there are several what are called cool flowers that can be planted in the fall, whether you direct sow them in the ground, whether you start them inside and harden them off and plant them out. They can be planted in the fall and they will survive all winter without a winter storm Elliott to give you early spring blooms, because it has had that whole fall winter to focus on its roots. So it's not, you're not going to see much above the ground, but the roots are doing their thing. And so once you've got warm enough temperatures in the spring, they start blooming earlier than if you started them in the spring. And some of those include straw flowers, sweet peas, snapdragons, calendula, pansies. Pansies will they'll just live. I mean, they live through Winter Storm Elliott. They're like the nuclear plant, the plant that will survive a nuclear blast. So that's why I got more calendula in the ground. And I lost all my straw flowers. So I'm going to start more straw flowers, probably today, and some soil blocks also. My favorite calendula are the zeolites. I think a lot of companies sell them. I love strawberry blonde, but I do think the zeolites are my favorite. What is the best compost to use? That's easy and also hard. The best compost to use is the one that you make yourself, because you know everything going into it, you know how it was treated, you know that it didn't have any type of herbicide drift or pesticide drift. The best is the one that you make yourself. But I understand not everybody can make their own compost in their yard. I know it's hard. There are other things you can do. You can do bokashi composting, and then using a giant Rubbermaid tote, you can take old tired potting soil and dump it in there with your bokashi and create a soil factory. And that would be excellent to use in your garden. I don't have, other than Stout Ollie's compost, I have not found a bagged or commercially available, like a large size available compost source that I like. All my amaryllis are wax dipped. Well, okay, so I've never done a wax dipped amaryllis. I'm assuming you could carefully remove it. I mean, what do you have to lose? I mean, you're just going to throw them away or compost them anyway. So, yeah, but yeah, I would obviously, if you're going to try planting it, take the wax off if you can. Okay, Caitlin, in terms of amaryllis, what to do if you are in an apartment? Stacy from Okayest Home and Garden. She lives in Minnesota. She can't plant them outside. She keeps them in like a closet or something, and then wakes them up. So she would be a good one to follow. I'm sure she's probably got a story highlight or maybe even a guide, or you can just direct message her. Stacy at Okayest Home and Garden. She is able to keep amaryllis bulbs from year to year without planting them in the ground. Okay. I'm so slow. I've gotten six planted, potted up. That's it. Oh, it just got really dark out. I guess you can see on the screen, things got darker. I mean, I went out in the backyard this morning to check the temperature of the compost, surprise, surprise. And there's like standing water in our yard, which doesn't normally happen. So I think overnight we must have gotten just a ton of rain, which makes me think, do I need to go cover my compost pile with a tarp just because we're getting so much rain and I just watered it when I turned it? So too much water in your compost pile and it will go anaerobic, meaning there's not enough oxygen, and the microbes cannot live. They die. They don't have enough oxygen. So when your pile gets too wet, the two easiest things to do are to, one, turn it, meaning flip it from its current position to a completely new spot, flip it over. That will add air. I made a chimney in mine, so I took a metal rod and I put it down the middle and like got it all the way to the bottom, and then like almost like churning butter, made a hole with a chimney so that maybe some air can be coming in. And then also you can flip it and add browns, wood chips, dry shredded leaves, cardboard, to try and soak up some of the water. Y'all, it is getting really dark. like I don't know what's coming. Okay, Lazy City Gardener, tumble composter cons. All right, there's nothing wrong with a tumble composter. I used to have one. So the thing is, if you are attempting to get your pile hot, you likely will not be able to in a conventional tumbler composter because you need a specific volume. Your compost pile will never be big enough in a tumbler to reach thermophilic temperatures. You need 3 feet wide by 3 feet deep by 3 feet tall to reach those temperatures. All right, you don't care about getting it hot. In a tumbler composter, the only things you have to think about is that it's relatively closed. So you may have to add water periodically. You're not getting rainwater. The pro is it will keep critters out, but I don't have a problem with that. I bury the food stuff really well. I have never had anything digging in my compost piles. You know, you have to turn. the tumbler, but that's usually easier than turning a compost pile. So the biggest con is it doesn't produce a huge, large volume, and it takes a really long time. So because you're not reaching thermophilic temperatures, it's likely going to take at least a year for it to be ready. I'm not that patient. Okay. Woo! 4 requests to be in the video. Maple Grease, yes, we do collect rainwater, so it is very, I do get really happy when it rains. We have 2 giant 550-gallon rain tanks behind my husband's shed. And that is what I use to water my garden and my compost pile. We have a pump attached to those that I turn on, and it sends water up a hose to my garden. We also have on the side of the house a 500-gallon rain barrel, 250-gallon rain barrel, and like 2 100-gallon rain barrels. And my husband uses those to gravity feed water the front yard. I love collecting our rainwater. It was really not that hard. Rain barrels, giant rain barrels are expensive. I have a whole blog post on it. If you go to my website, which is linked in my profile on Instagram, I have a whole blog post on how my husband set it up and where we purchased our rain barrels and a couple other sources for rain barrels, and then some other ideas for rain barrels that are less expensive. I'm going to forget what they're called. They're called something totes, and they're like squares, like white clear plastic squares that have like a metal grid around them. Does anyone know what those are called? People use those also to collect rainwater, and they're much less expensive than a rain barrel. God, what are they? RBC totes? I don't know. I don't know what the name comes from, but that's an idea too. All right, I need more pots, more 2.5-inch pots. There should be some over here. Here's one. Oh yeah. So I originally bought the black ones, but then they came out with fun colors. And I just really love the colored ones because especially in the dead of winter, when you're starting seeds, it's really fun to have these bright, cheery colors on your seed rack, right? Can you guys hear the rain and the thunder? All right. They're so delicate, these little babies. All right. You need to go inside. Okay, did I DIY the huge tanks and pump? So if by DIY you mean we found them online, ordered them, set them up, we added a gutter to the back of my husband's shed, and then so the gutter, runs along the shed, and then my husband put a cut into the gutter and has a pipe coming down that then 2 PVC. It's got like a first flush and a leaf guard, and then 2 PVC pipes come out from that main pipe and then go into each rain barrel. Each rain barrel has a place at the bottom where he was able to put PVC fittings with a on-off valve handle, and then each of the pumps snakes with a hose over to a main hose that goes to the pump that we purchased off of Amazon, I think that's linked in my Amazon storefront, the pump. I would, if I did it again, get a little bit stronger of a pump. This one works fine, but I would go with a little bit stronger. It's raining so hard. It was coming in the garage and getting me and the phone wet. So yes, we did DIY it. All right, I'm not getting wet back here. Well, I was gonna go out and plant some lettuce. I started lettuce indoors during the great lettuce shortage of 2022, and some of it's ready to go in the garden. But I don't think I'll be doing that. Okay. All right, I think that's all seed babies out of there. All right, so that was peppermint Swiss chard, and now I've got some orange Swiss chard. I'm gonna pot up. For some reason, only one cell of this germinated. None of these other 5 did. I am gonna put them back on a heat mat under the grow lights and see if I can't get the rest of the cells to germinate. You know what I need? I need one of those cells. All right, so I need one of these. I already knocked over one of the baby seedlings. So these are super strong, and they keep the pots from tipping over. For anyone just joining, we're just having a morning, not coffee, but hang out, chat while I pot some seedlings up. I've told everybody that you're welcome to ask me any questions about anything that's gardening related or seed starting or potting mix that you've seen me doing lately. I'm in zone 7B, so I've started more Swiss chard to replace everything that got killed with the winter storm. I have been struggling lately with wanting to sit down and plan out the spring garden, but also not wanting to. I've never been good at pulling the winter fall garden when it's time and trying to squeeze stuff in with things that probably need to be pulled. And I've also never been good about spacing and just figuring out what I want to go where. And then it comes time to plant. I look at the plans I made and I basically throw them out the window and just shove everything in wherever I can fit it, which I don't want to do anymore. But just can't figure out what I want to go where. Some of my garden beds just don't get enough sun. That makes things difficult. I don't know. If you're really good at garden planning, I'm envious. I'm very envious. Trying to place a last minute order given the news, but it says they can't ship to my address. Caitlin is, okay, so you live in the United States. I can't look anything up right now since I'm on the live, but if you send me a direct message, I will look into that. If you click the link in my bio for Frass, it should take you to the website. I do know that yesterday alone, we sold 45 bags. So we're down to 65, but those should not have all sold. Like, you should be able to still get it. Lazy City Gardener, you love gardening planning? Oh man. More power to you. Because it's a great winter activity. I get stressed out. I do it with paper and pencil and like erase and redo it a million times. All right, I need to finish this up. Looks like I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more I want to pot up. Because they're not very big, their roots are not really tangled at all. I'm able to just pull them apart so easy. I'm trying to remember where I got this peppermint Swiss chard. So some of the peppermint Swiss chard that I started in August did get to maturity, and I harvested some before the winter storm, and it was delicious, and I loved it. And I loved the way that it looked in the garden because it was pink and white striated and with the green leaves, and I just thought it was so beautiful. I also did some orange Swiss chard and like a couple mixes. So I did a bright lights mix one, and I did, there's one other, now I can't remember. But I love having different colors of Swiss chard in the winter garden, because so much of what we're growing in the winter, where you can grow stuff in the winter, is just plain green. That's a lot of reason why I add the Japanese giant red mustard, because it's that deep purple. I think purple cabbages are fun to grow in the winter. I really need more than just a monochromatic green, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, lettuce. I need some color. So I add the pansies, and I add colored Swiss chard, and what did I just say? Oh, the Japanese giant red mustard. Okay. Gabrielle Griffith, what are your favorite, most flavorful garlic and tomato varieties? Tomato, if you're looking for a slicer, like one to make like a caprese salad to eat on a sandwich. Cherokee Purple is my all-time favorite. It's beautiful and it tastes good, and it's got the right amount of like the amount of like liquid inside to like flesh. All of this sounds gross. If you're looking for a cherry tomato, last year I grew Sun Gold upon millions of people's recommendations, and it lived up to the hype. It was so delicious. Everyone who came into my garden, who I made them, I'm like, you will eat this. They also said it was the best cherry tomato they've ever tasted. Caveat, I have heard there is a rival to the Sun Gold called Sun Sugar, and Roxana from Soil and Margaritas grows Sun Sugar. We have made a deal where we purchased Sun Sugar and Sun Gold tomato seeds from the same company. We both did it, and we're both going to grow both, and then do like a taste test to see which one we think wins. I will be impressed if the Sun Sugar can beat out the Sun Gold. All right, now garlic. I don't have a favorite garlic. I have not found, so I grow soft neck and hard neck. I grow the hard neck mainly for the scapes that grow, as opposed to any other reason. So I just don't even like garlic is garlic to me. I can't taste any nuance in the different varieties. Okay. Broadway Gardener also loves Sun Golds. Yeah, man. But like a Broadway Gardener, I have to ask, like, have you tried Sun Sugar? Because I'm hearing there's a chance it's as good or better. So Broadway Gardener, you think Sun Sugar is the winner? Really? Okay. Someone asked, how is the weather? The weather is not bumming me out, but it is pouring rain and thundering and lightning. Okay, Maple Grace, you love colorful chard, but you want to know how I consume them. My favorite way to consume them is I chop off the stalks, chop those up, add them to a saute pan with olive oil and salt. Then I chop up the leaves. Once the stalks have softened just a little bit, because they take longer than the leaves, I add the leaves. I saute it with just olive oil and salt, and sometimes I add nutritional yeast. Have you guys ever heard of nutritional yeast? Sounds weird, but it tastes cheesy. So it tastes like cheese, but it's really healthy for you. It's like a flaky powder type thing. So sometimes I put that on it, and I just eat that like as a side, or I love eating that with scrambled eggs also. Like, I'm really wishing I had some right now to have like scrambled eggs. You better grow. The good thing about Swiss chard is it's cold hardy. It can also tolerate quite a bit of summer heat. So hopefully these Swiss chard will still be here all through summer. Oh God, Broadway Gardener is making me think Sun Sugars might be better. All right, what do I got left to do? 3, 5, 5 more. Come on, Amanda, focus. Focus. If you've just joined recently, I am potting up Swiss chard. Wow. And I'm mainly potting them up. They're not very big. They don't need to be potted up. I'm potting them up because I sowed more than one seed per cell and they all germinated, and I don't want to throw any away, but I want them to have their own ample space. So I'm potting them up instead of thinning them and getting rid of some of the seedlings. I have the hardest time with thinning. I mean, I'm getting better at it, but it just seems so wasteful. But I need to learn, like, I don't have all the space. I don't need 75 tomato plants. Hard lessons to learn. All right, 3 more. 4? God, there's 4 in this one. All right, how many seeds did I plant? So some of you may know I have recently joined the YouTube train, and I'm learning all about like YouTube. I'm trying to teach myself how to be a better video editor and figure out just the ins and outs of YouTube. I thought you had to be able to monetize for them to show ads on your stuff, but I clicked on one of my videos the other day with my husband's account, and it showed an ad. I'm like, I didn't know I guess they can show ads on all videos even if you aren't monetizing. But so if they're going to show ads on my videos, I would like to be paid for that. So I'm attempting to meet the criteria that they set out to be eligible to monetize. It doesn't guarantee that you'll be able to monetize, but to even be eligible, you have to have 1,000 subscribers. Okay. And then you have to have 4,000 watch hours within the last 365 days. But there's some caveats to that, in that YouTube has something called Shorts now, I guess, to compete with TikTok and Instagram. They're kind of like Reels for TikToks. And those, anyone watching those, they don't count. They don't count towards the monetization hours, which is annoying. But since I've started actively putting content onto YouTube, and granted, I don't have much on there yet. I always forget to film in like portrait mode, and then when you try, in landscape mode, and then when you try and convert something from portrait, like your head gets cut off. So there's not much on there now, but since I've started actively working on that, I have gone from, I guess, 20 something subscribers to 315 as of this morning. I say I've been doing it for a couple months now. It's slow going. But with the 4,000 watch hours, I was told I need to put up longer videos. Like you'll get to the watch hours faster if you have longer videos rather than short ones, which makes sense. Of the 4,000 watch hours, I think I'm at like 56. Like that seems so daunting. That seems way harder than some of the other platforms. TikTok, they tell you what you need to be in their creator fund, and I believe it's 10,000 followers and a certain amount of views in the last like 90 days or something. But I mean, they spell it out. So what's nice is YouTube and TikTok, they spell out what they want from you to be able to earn money on those platforms. You know who doesn't? Instagram. What is the criteria? Who gets to have Reels bonuses? Who gets to have badges for their lives? They don't. Who gets the offered the subscribe capability? They don't tell you. They don't tell you any of that stuff, which I find really frustrating. Yeah, I don't understand why they keep it secret. Caitlin, I upload little videos of things I want to share with my dad without compressing in SMS quality. And anytime the video is less than a minute, it defaults to a short. That's annoying. Just checking the questions, I think. God, why doesn't it put the newest ones at the top? Swiss chard is kind of like spinach. Yeah, I would say that the leaves taste like spinach, and I would say that the stalks have a little bit more of an earthier flavor. What good does that do you? Earthier flavor. I don't know how to describe it. I don't find it like overpowering. Like so, like a lot of the mustards I grow, they're quite strong, pungent, garlicky. But the Swiss chard just seems very mild. I know a lot of people put it in salads. I just really love it. Oh, Panacea Farm Girl is seeding today and making soap. That sounds like a lovely day. I actually have to go run. Hey, Anna, good morning. I have to go run boring like UPS errands. I don't really want to do it in the rain. It would be a good day to bake bread, except I'm trying not to eat a lot of bread. I don't know what I'm going to do today. I'm going to start more seeds. I don't know what yet. I need to pull out the seed containers, figure out what I'm going to start. I did start an experiment yesterday, though. I'll probably put it up on YouTube, where I started my orange hat micro tomato seeds. They've germinated, and now I'm potting them up into 4 different mediums. The first one is plain Coco Loco. The next one is Coco Loco with the insect grass. The third one is pit moss. I'll just tell you right now, spoiler. The pit moss one, when I checked on them this morning, looked dead. I watered it more, and it is looking like it's back alive. I don't have a lot of hope for the pit moss one. And then the fourth one is my own homemade compost. I was looking back through some of my pictures and videos from last year. I used compost, both heated up to get rid of any bugs and stuff, and straight last year for a lot of my plants, my seedlings. They did amazing. I think I need to just do some compost and perlite for a lot of my stuff, and maybe even try soil blocks with that, because it did really well. So that's a little experiment. The pit moss, I have found, is very difficult to figure out, like how much water, what is too much water. I've just struggled with that, but I wanted to have like more controls in the experiment, not controls, more variables in the experiment, I guess. More. Oh, all my like 9th grade science terminology has left me. All right, I have finished potting up. If there aren't any last minute questions, Anna, thank you for buying a badge. If there aren't any last minute questions, then I will probably do my UPS run and get that done. Good morning from the White Mountains of Arizona, Zone 6B, starting seeds as well and plan to grow sun sugar. Tina, have you grown sun sugar before? I had, until Roxana was talking about sun sugar, I had never even heard of it. And I had heard about, oh, Broadway Gardener, thank you for being excited about my YouTube. You're so sweet. I had heard about Sun Gold. Why did I wait so long? Like, why didn't I believe people when they were saying it is the best cherry tomato? I don't know. But yes, just to recap, if you're going to grow one tomato slicer, my recommendation is Cherokee Purple. It's an heirloom. It is of the heirlooms, relatively disease resistant, and the Sun Gold cherry tomato. Those would be the two. Juliet tomatoes. Juliet is a cherry tomato, I believe, right? It's not a Roma, right? It was late, but awesome. That's the other thing. I like looking at the back of my seed packets and jotting down in my garden journal days to maturity. So some of my tomatoes are 65 days, some are 75. Like, I like seeing like where they're going to start maturing over the course of the summer. And one that is consistently a good performer that matures early, Early Girl. Tastes great, does really well so far for me in my garden, and is the very first one of the slicing tomatoes to produce come summer. So if you want a tomato as soon as possible, I highly recommend getting some Early Girl seeds. White currant sounds good for tomatoes. Anna also loves Cherokee Purple. A lot of people do. But then I've also heard from some people say that it didn't do well in their garden. Yeah, I'm going to do 13 varieties of tomatoes this year. At least 5 are tried and true. So I always do certain, like a good handful of ones that I know I'm going to like. And then I love to try a bunch of new varieties. I tried a bunch of new varieties last year that are not making a reappearance this year. Okay, so maybe Caitlin says she'd be interested to see what I include in my garden journal. Maybe I'll do a live on my garden journal. I'm not great at it. It's something I'm working towards being better at. This is the 3rd year that I've done one. What are those bikinis? Bikinis, and what are the green things? You guys see this comment? What? I don't even know what those are. Is that bikinis and underwear? So this is what I was talking about earlier, if you were on earlier, about like, I start getting like really non-gardening people following and doing interesting comments. If you weren't on earlier, I let 2 random people on. I got a bunch of waving and thumbs up. Okay, so last year, and then I'll go. Some of the tomato varieties I tried mainly for their appearance because I thought they would look cool. So ones I've tried for appearance that I will not be growing again are Brad's Atomic Grape. I didn't think they looked as cool as the photos in real life. They didn't taste good to me. They had no flavor. And then I didn't like, the skin was tough and the inside was mushy. So I didn't like the consistency. Oh, good. Anna, how do I'm making you a moderator. All right, Anna, you're a moderator. Feel free to kick out Bikini Man. Now he's typing XXC. I don't know what that means. All right, Brad's Atomic Grape, nevermore. Pink Berkeley tie-dye. Sounds cool. Looks cool. I didn't enjoy the taste. Cherokee Green. Meh. Cherokee Purple is so much better. I had grown Sunrise Bumblebee before. Really liked it. So I grew Purple Bumblebee and Pink Bumblebee. Didn't really like them. There were a couple others. You know what? I should do like a whole reel on which tomatoes I'll never grow again. And then send someone the seeds who wants to grow them. Want to grow something I don't ever want to grow again? Here's some seeds. Panacea Farm Girl is giving a recipe for tomatoes. That does sound delicious. My favorite one thing, oh, they're briefs, they're underwear briefs, the green things. One thing I love to do in the summer is if I have a bunch of cherry tomatoes, and even if it's slicers, I'll just chop them up and I throw them in a saute pan with olive oil, garlic, and salt, and just let them get like hot and cook a little bit, and then eat it with pasta. It's not a tomato sauce consistency, but it's what I call my summer tomato sauce, and it's so good. Anna, how do you pronounce it? Dr. Weich's. I am growing that new this year. That's one of the new ones I'm growing this year, Dr. Weich's. I think, I don't know if I've heard you talk about it, but again, Roxana, I heard Roxana talking about Dr. Weich's, and so I'm going to grow that one. Add shrimp to the sauteed tomatoes. That does sound really good. All right, at this point, I have finished my potting up. Let me show you. Weichie, Dr. Weichie's. Okay. Weichie. All right. We've got, where are you over here? All right. Little Swiss chard babies, all potted up. These will get, I will go inside and water them, even though the soil I was using was not dry. I will go in and water them just a little bit. Their roots, so one thing to take note of, their roots are probably only down midway, okay? So if I try and bottom water them, the roots may not get enough water. So I will be top watering these until I can start seeing some roots out the bottom. Then I'll start bottom watering. And they're gonna go inside, not on the heat mat, but under the lights on my grow rack. And they better do well. I need more plants in the garden. All right, you guys.